Having fled Lyria, Queen Meve ventured into Edir, her old friend Reynard and new ally Gascon at her side. The war had bitten into this land too. Still, Meve hoped to sway King Demoven to her cause, and with his aid, to oust the traitors, retake her throne, and drive the Nilfgaardian invader from her realm. Yet to start, she was forced to fight, Scoia'tael no less. Emerging from a wood, Meve's retinue encountered a unit of elven rebels just moments from hanging a handful of prisoners. Among the latter, the Queen spotted a woman, a proud warrior with a striking, thick black braid.
The lass I believe I know.
Well, unless we rush to her rescue, it'll soon be you knew her.
Well said. Lyrians, attack!
Hang the butcher! Below her!
She can't breathe, Your Grace. We must rush to her aid.
Catch!
Bigger they are, easier they are to tell.
Dole! Bloodthunner!
Free the warrior!
Thing about slings, they hide well.
None shall tread on us! Hang the butcher! Below her!
She can't breathe, Your Grace. We must rush to her aid.
Yeah, yeah!
Ah!
Me, Thronebreaker camest.
You mad? Don't shake that!
Now we will see who is weak!
Free the warrior!
Shh! Cork it!
The Scoia'tael warriors shocked the Queen with their speed, their cunning, and their cruelty. Yet in the end, the Lyrians prevailed. When the last elf hit the ground, the Queen had her men untie those they'd sought to hang.
1,000 thanks, Your Grace. Heard many tales of your valor. Pleased to see there weren't just flattery and propaganda. I'm...
Black Rayla. Hagar, we saw you there. You command King Demoven's special forces.
That's right. Though not many remain to command.
So I see. How did it come to this?
My liege sent me to wipe out a Scoia'tael band, led by a rat called Eldane. Followed the vermin's tracks for several days, straight into his trap, turned out.
Hunting elves in the woods. Truly inspired, I must say.
Had no choice. Doing nothing would have brought us surer, swifter doom. The Black Clad have invaded Edirn, thanks to elven aid. They snap our supply lines, lurk like dogs, prey on vulnerable units and scouts.
You mean to say Nilfgaard's broken your defenses?
Aye. Though their march will soon halt, believe me. To advance, they'll have to take Rosberg, a stronghold that's yet to fall once. They'll break against its walls like waves upon the rocks.
Rayla, the black swarm I have beheld. Endless lines of infantrymen, countless riders, war machines capable of crushing the hardest stone to gravel.
Your meaning, my lady?
That we must prepare for the worst.
I'll convey your grace's words to the king at the first occasion.
I'd rather hope to convey them myself. I have come to Edirn seeking aid. I wish to ask Demavend for support.
The king is in Rosberg, overseeing siege preparations. I'm heading that way too to report on our skirmish with the Scoia'tael. I might serve as your guide.
Excellent. Guide on. How fare you, Rayla?
He tried.
Oh, and
I refused it. Best to sleep beneath the stars. Little
rain accepted, perhaps.
I'm not made of sugar, ma'am. I'm not gonna melt.
One sees very few women in the ranks, let alone in the special forces.
On merit. Proved I'd be of use.
Yes, well, naturally.
I was 15 when I went to enlist. But the sergeant in charge of signing folk up told me to scurry on home. So I proposed a wager. Arm wrestling. If I won, he'd let me...
And that kind of coin?
No. So I had to win. As we sat down at the table, across from each other, he laughed and rolled up his sleeve. When it was over, all around us were laughing at him. Then I just followed orders. Did so well enough.
I must go. Gods. The entire country up in flames.
Ebdahi warned punishment awaited Edirn, that he would show the land no mercy.
What in God's names did you do to him, Rayla?
Nilfgaard offered us an alliance against the rest of the north, but Demoven declined, in his clipped soldier's speech. They say Ebdahi flew into a rage and swore he'd reduce Edirn to rubble.
Seen Nimoy? Was bound here from Iconford. Supposed to have arrived 3 days past.
Valyrians arrived at an ancient, half-desiccated beach. Its trunk sat atop a tangle of thick roots, and scraps of paper covered with tiny scribblings fluttered over it from top to bottom. Travelers crowded all around. Barefoot refugees, bony pilgrims, peddlers with armored escorts, and shifty-eyed men with the haggard look of deserters.
The Wayfarer's Beach.
Rayla said.
Travellers of all sorts swap tales here. Perhaps we can glean something about our enemy's movements.
Or paint the enemy a clear picture of our own.
Gascon interrupted.
Nilfgaardian spies no doubt flock to this tree like flies to particularly pungent dung.
Disregarding matters of status and station, Niamh personally asked the travelers for the latest news. They soon transformed from terse to talkative, sharing tales of an elven bandit named Eldain, a Nilfgaardian general called Frighev who murdered an entire village, and a sorceress who cured any ailment for a few coppers. Then a blood-curdling scream put a halt to the gossip. Niamh's soldiers had begun to quarrel with the merchant's guards, one of whom now lay dead on the ground, his throat a gaping wound.
The filth besmirched your honour, your grace. Said you took Dale and ran from Lyria like a belted bitch.
The travelers were unmoved by this explanation. They demanded the Lyrian soldier be punished according to Edirn's laws. Niamh walked up to the accused soldier who awaited her verdict with tears in his eyes. She put her hand on his shoulder.
This man defended my honor.
The Queen proclaimed loudly.
For this he deserves not punishment, but praise. And you remember Whoever defames my name shall soon regret it.
Maeve's unit marched off to the sound of jeers and curses. But her soldiers held their heads high, proud of their queen.
Ravens are always trailing armies. Ravens and beasts.
Soon after entering Edirn, Maeve ordered a halt. She wished to sit with Black Rayla and plan their onward march, for Rayla knew every path in the realm, including ones not drawn on any map. They were hard at work when shouts rang out among the tents.
One final time I shall say it. As your senior officer, I order you to depart the training grounds.
Oh, what? Pray tell, you'll have me drop and give you 50?
What is the meaning of this?
Your Grace, I had thought to use this interval to drill the recruits, teach them
To walk.
to maneuver, Gascon. A world of difference. In perfect harmony must soldiers traverse the field of battle. Otherwise, they could break formation. The enemy would penetrate our lines, and our army could be slaughtered.
And therein lies the rub, dear Reynard. Army. This is no army, but a band of partisans. If we do not adapt to the rules of desperation, if we adhere instead to the Academy Codex, we shall lose. Laying traps, wiping tracks, that's what we should teach the lads. Not marching to the beat.
All my eye. A fighting force must have discipline. Otherwise, tactics and planning are impossible. A soldier must obey orders.
Show some respect, Gascon. When Reynard in his first charge rode, you teetered upon a rocking horse. Do not dismiss his experience. Our resources are limited. We cannot do everything at once. Prepare your proposed plans for training the recruits, and I shall decide which we shall follow. Clear? Then get to work.
Fishing in the moat? Oh, dead.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful. Stop your yapping and start digging.
Gonna need 3 buckets of nails and a tub full of pegs. Don't you worry yourself, Grace. We'll get her done in no time. Fishing in the moat? Oh, it's dead.
Your Grace,
Maeve heard Reynard call out from behind her.
the scout's returned. Claims to bear an urgent message.
The Queen halted her horse and waited for the soldier to reach her. He abandoned all formalities and jumped straight to the point.
Milady, A black-clad caravan, armed to the hilt, rides this way. To believe the rumours, they're hauling a load of war loot back south.
Reynard gave the soldier new orders, then turned to Meave.
Sounds like a prime opportunity to replenish our coffers.
Indeed. An opportunity we cannot ignore. We must drive them into the ambush! Follow me!
You mad? Don't shake that!
Wise choice.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target. Order! Thing about slings, they hide well.
We're close, Your Grace.
Hey?
Sure took your time. Thought you'd forgotten about me.
Now! Ho!
Life is mine now.
Aye.
We got a job to do.
Yeah, yeah! Ach, Scheiß! In train! We'll catch 'em all!
We must drive them into the ambush!
The chase is on!
Wise choice.
Us or them, no other way.
them!
God's bless it. My breastplate chafes.
Hey?
We're close, Your Grace.
Should've listened to me, old lady.
Ever have a storm knock out one you see?
Sure took your time. Thought you'd forgotten about me. Now!
I bit the white of an eye from half a league away.
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads. We got a job to do.
Scheiß in zwei!
To the front yet again.
The caravan is ours, milady.
Their plan ended in success, the Nilfgaardians crushed. As soon as the dust had settled, Neve tore the canvas off the nearby wagons to see what precious loot they had so carefully guarded. She expected to find gold, jewels, or exquisite silks. Instead, she saw dirty, terrified figures bound in chains.
Slaves.
Reynard muttered.
Their precious cargo. Slaves. Behold the glorious future the Empire brings us.
Neve ordered the prisoners freed and discovered they were Edirnian peasants on their way to dig canals and dredge swamps as forced laborers.
You are free. You can return to your homes.
The Queen said. If she expected words of thanks and gratitude, she was in for a disappointment.
What homes, milady?
Asked one of the peasants, holding back tears.
Took our land, they did. Nothing we have now. Not a rag to wear, not a crumb to eat. Leave us, we die. Soldiers don't do us in, monsters will. Us human hunger and cold don't get us first.
The Queen was about to answer when she heard Gascon, standing behind her, whisper,
Before you make any...
I attacked this caravan hoping to fill my coffers.
The Queen said.
Instead, I have only secured a new drain upon them. But very well. In these ill times, we Northerners must help our own. Women and children in the wagons. The men shall march alongside to the rear. I warn you, if you cannot keep pace, we shall leave you by the roadside. Move out!
The Queen's gaze momentarily caught the eyes of an old woman her soldiers were helping onto a wagon. Tears of gratitude poured down her soot-stained face, across hard lines left by years of destructive toil. Neve was convinced she had done the right thing.
heart's willing and how, but these damn boots are killing me.
I'll fight to my last breath.
No time for that!
You mad? Don't shake that!
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Aye. Should have listened to the old lady.
You must sweat like a swine in that jacket.
Thing about slings, they hide well. Hey? Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Go, pop, pop.
pit. Not sure for watches yet.
I fear not, for fate guides me.
One week we were to harvest, yet the fields are nothing but ash. Did our oats not suit the Emperor? However did our oats and other plantings come?
Gatburg opened its gates to the Black Lads. Surrendered without a fight.
Was here, just a week past. That was a mill. An inn. Out more than ashes now.
And of the people, not a trace. Not even the bodies.
Give me a time. Our ballista, your command.
again and again and again.
I'm a monster.
An army's a waste of time for one like me.
Look to the high road. The earth furrowed by wheels, hooves. The Blackclads went at Rosberg with all their strength. An ominous sign.
For Nilfgaard, I'd say. The fortress boasts 2 new towers, a deeper moat, gate of wrought iron. It cannot be taken.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Thing about slings, they hide well. Hey?
Catch!
Aye.
Get our asses moving. Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die. Aye.
I smell a leak.
Hey?
Fuck, our arse is moving.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Enough chit-chat. Draw your weapon.
Should have listened to me, old lady. This harvest will be reaping black-clad hens. My spirit's willing and how, but these damn roots are killing me. No time for that.
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
What happened here?
Sadly, it was Rayla who met with surprise. 100-yard gap gaped in the unbreachable walls of Rosberg. The fortress itself was aflame, spewing black smoke into the sky.
I don't... How? It can't be!
There was no time to consider her question, for Nilfgaardian scouts had spotted Meave's company. The Queen knew battle was inevitable, so she gave the signal to form a defensive line, then drew her blade.
Your Grace, Nilfgaardian fighters remain in the city.
Watch your heads!
Of course, as you wish, master.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Bloody Horsens. They'll pay for this.
Yeah, yeah!
Scheiß! In! Zwei!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Your Grace.
Hey?
That was not in the spell books.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth?
Bloody Horsens. They'll...
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
Off to the front yet again.
You'll never take me alive!
Quiet! Outside here.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Ach! Scheiß! In! Zwei!
I refuse to believe it. The king could not have died here.
The chase is on!
Off to the front yet again.
This could hurt.
Prepare to fight, if you've any honor.
Watch for Demavend's banners! If he's here, we must find him!
The Lyrians met one note of luck in this song of woe. Rosberg had fallen, yes, but the Nilfgaardians, not expecting reinforcements from the south, had stationed only a small detachment to hold it. Meve led her men to victory and retook the fortress. Or rather, what was left of it. What they did not demolish during their assault, the Nilfgaardians burnt once inside the city. Countless charred corpses of both defenders and peasants seeking shelter from the invaders lay among the blackened ruins. Some had tried to shield their children from the fire with their own bodies. To no avail.
Gods be damned!
The Meve was about to give the order to move on when she caught a stifled whimper coming from a pile of rubble. Her soldiers ran to the rescue, their bare hands digging through the fiery bricks.
Here! He's alive!
The man they pulled from the ruins had suffered horrible burns. His face was a stew of seared flesh and pus-filled boils, and he reeked of burnt meat. Seeing Black Rayla, the poor soul staggered to his feet and lifted a shaking hand in salute.
Engineer Lieutenant Xavier Lemons, reporting for duty. Medic! Send for a medic!
Lemons! What the devil's happened?
I know not. The East Tower. I led the defense. Heating oil to tan Nilfgaardian hides. The fortress fell. Fell? Damn Scoia'tael.
What was that?
Our preparations were perfect. A month, 2 we could have lasted, but traitors were among us. Planted charges on the buttresses. An explosion shook the tower.
Vermin, filthy, rotten vermin.
I know you suffer, soldier, but Queen Meve wishes to meet with your sovereign, Demavend. We must know what's become of him.
Gone, luckily. He oversaw the preparations, then returned to Aldersburg.
Then let us do the same. Reynard, prepare our departure.
Hold your grace. Did anyone survive?
No. There were no other survivors.
How could they? An entire detachment? An entire city?
Soldier, my medics will tend to you as best they can. Then we can escort you home if...
This is my home, your grace. Rosberg, I beg you. Let me join your company. Let me exact revenge.
I respect your fighting spirit, good man. But in your state...
Your grace, I can hold neither shield nor sword, but I can still fight in my own way. I'm an engineer. I built siege towers, ballistae, bridges. What?
Such pain, such ferocity resounded in Xavier's rasping, distorted voice that Meve could not refuse his plea. Once the medics had bandaged his wounds, Meve's men set out towards Aldersburg, following Demavend and the Nilfgaardians. At one point in their journey, Black Rayla rode up next to Meve. The warrior's lips were a thin line, bitten to blood.
Milady, the road to Aldersburg leads through Moulderwood, where Eldain Scoia'tael prowl. Same filth who killed my men and delivered Rosberg to the Black Butchers.
Rayla breathed deeply to steady her furious, shaking voice.
Please, milady, I ask you upon the holies, let us find them and destroy them.
Meve gave a slight nod. It seemed the road to Aldersburg would prove long and full of challenges.
A pity Willem is not with us. Were he to see what lies before our eyes, caught a whiff of the burnt bodies, perhaps he would see with whom he now consort.
breach the walls, ploughing traitors.
They feel at home here, the Nilfgaardians. Let's show them they're wrong.
Must be an important lesson in this. But what?
The chase is on!
101, 102, 103.
I saw them. No other way.
Ha!
Life is mine now.
No signs of fighting. These Horsens must have opened the gates for the Blacklads.
This could hurt. Watch your heads!
Wise choice.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away. On them!
Order will triumph. It must triumph.
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
That was not in the spell books.
Off to the front yet again.
If the ring won't come off, just take the whole finger.
Oh.
Outside here.
Go, pop, pop.
Scheiß! In zwei! battle's won, Your Majesty.
We haven't any reason to rejoice, friend. Blackclads will be back.
Should have listened to me, old lady. This harvest, we'll be reaping black-clad heads.
Watch your heads!
Bigger they are, easier they are to tag.
What do you want of me?
Thing about slings, they hide well.
My spirit's willing and how, but they don't want to kill me.
Enough chit-chat. Draw your weapon.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, a time to die.
Hey? Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Prepare to fight, if you've any honor.
You'd folk in Crumhorn are trading with the Scoia'tael by day, for all to see.
Where's the king? Why'd he leave us a black lad mercy?
Meave's ears caught the sound of a ruckus coming from the camp.
Thieves! Inglet! A pox upon you all!
It was her quartermaster, hurling oaths at the peasants she had freed from the Nilfgaardian slave convoy. A few had stolen supplies under the cover of darkness and escaped into the woods.
'Tis high time they went off on their own, your grace. They are too great a hindrance. They slow our march, divert our soldiers from more important tasks. And now this.
Gascon was listening to their conversation. Meave shot him a questioning look.
I opposed taking them in. So, for consistency, I now oppose forcing them to leave. We made their miserable lives our responsibility, did
Meave's eyes narrowed and the lines on her face sharpened. She turned to the peasants.
This is an army. We have no time for investigations and long trials. If one of my men steals, his entire regiment is punished. So it shall be with you. As you are unable to keep your kith and kin under check, you must leave. All of you. Today.
Once the peasants had packed their few belongings and separated from the column, the Lyrians marched off. They moved much more quickly, no longer having to adjust to the pace of the untrained, bedraggled refugees. But without the rustic singing and colourful farm-wife banter to accompany their steps, the march seemed strangely silent.
This could hurt.
It's gonna be a right good levy, big and beautiful. Stop your yapping and start digging.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your team?
Not going into the fray already, are we?
Niamh and her companions neared the Moulderwood, a dense, ancient forest of trees whose tangled branches had witnessed the conjunction of the spheres. It was not until King Vidamont's day that a road was finally carved through the primeval thicket, significantly shortening the journey from Rossburg to Aldersburg.
Even when peace reigns, danger rules this road.
At the edge of the wood by the road stood an enormous willow. Its branches swept down to cover. He drew aside the drooping branches and stumbled back. There were men bound to the tree, covered in sap oozing from gashes in its trunk. Its heavy scent had attracted swarms of insects, flies, wasps, bees and beetles. They seethed over the bound men, crawling in and out of their ears and nostrils.
Eldane welcomes us to his wood.
Meve stepped towards the tree and saw the men stuck to it were all still alive. Those the elves had caught recently writhed and howled for rescue. Those hanging longer merely followed the queen with half-crazed, bloodshot eyes.
Well, are you to stand there all day?
Meve screamed to her dumbstruck Lyrians.
Free them, at once!
Her soldiers needed no more prompting. As soon as they had freed the first captive, before even a word of thanks could be uttered, a flaming streak soared through the air and stuck in the tree. The oozing resin burst into flames, engulfing the prisoners as well as the soldiers who had come to their aid. Elder speech battle cries rang out from the woods as elven warriors launched their attack.
It's a trap!
Keep your heads in the fight! They'll seek to blind us with shock and awe!
This harvest, we'll be reaping black-clad heads.
Watch your heads!
Nay, Thronebreaker nest.
Kill them! Kill them all!
My spirit's willing and how, but don't kill at me.
Have strength, my love.
Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
The storm is coming. Let's enjoy the weather while we still can.
I shall not fail!
We got a job to do.
None shall tread on us!
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away.
I only use corpses, but sometimes they're quite fresh.
I fear not, for faith guides me.
Death awaits us all.
elven lands, Dwan, upon which your kind...
Don't let them regroup! Finish off the wounded!
The battle done, Meve surveyed the carnage, her breath still ragged. The thick stench of blood, sap, and ash she sucked in made her stomach churn and head swoon.
The Scoia'tael. I'd heard of their cruelty, but...
The Queen said, sheathing her sword.
But never have I countenanced a thing like this.
Black Rayla, who had just extracted her blade from between an elven gorilla's ribs, smiled darkly.
Worst is yet to come, my lady.
The Queen regrouped her forces and marched into the Moulderwood. The Lyrians sang none of their usual marching songs. Instead, they walked in silence.
Hear that? Nightingales. Unmindful of war, they sing on.
Those are no birds, my lady. Just Scoia'tael scouts use animal cries to communicate. Tell the men to hold to the road, my lady.
Meve's path took her to the village of Iconfurt. Unlike most settlements in the area, not a single human dwelled here. Instead, only elves and dwarves sat on its porches and stared at the passing Lyrians with clear aversion. Not a single greeting was extended to their allies in arms. Not a single peddler tried to hawk their wares. The only sound was that of snapping shutters and slamming doors.
Something's amiss,
Rayla said, furrowing her brow.
Order a halt, my lady, and give me a moment to look around.
You've a quarter of an hour.
Meve said as she dismounted.
And not a moment more.
The Queen sat in the shade of a large pear tree. She shut her eyes and listened to the chirping of crickets in the grass.
Lady, come with us, please. You'll need to see this for yourself.
The sergeant led her to the still smouldering remains of a mill. Her soldiers were picking things out from the ashes. When she got closer, she realized in horror they were human skulls, some no larger than apples.
Tell the villagers to gather by the well,
the Queen said in a strained voice.
Or be executed.
The elves and dwarves attempted no denials. They admitted Eldain and his Scoia'tael had helped them round up all the humans in their village, march them into the mill, then set it aflame.
They stole our lands, defiled our names, beat us, murdered us in bloodthirsty pogroms,
shouted one of the dwarves.
They had it coming to them. Got their comeuppance, I'd say.
Meve was no stranger to the cruelty of war, but the enormous evil she found in Iconfurt overwhelmed her. She felt a terrible weight on her chest, found it hard to draw breath, and her head spun. She felt she could hear the cries of humans being burned alive.
Mom,
whispered Reynard.
You must pronounce something.
Or simply turn the matter over to me, Your Grace.
Do as you see fit,
Meve said quietly, gaze fixed on the ground. The Queen snapped her reins and rode out of the village. She did not want to witness the bloody massacre of non-humans her soldiers were about to perpetrate. What she had seen at the mill already sufficed to keep her awake for many nights to come.
What was that?
Meve asked Reynard, who rode beside her.
A scream. A man's, I think.
Need to investigate. Gather a few...
The screaming came from a small settlement. When Meve rode up to its farmhouse, Meve was uncertain at first how to act. But when she saw ghouls snap...
Lower your weapons!
This evil I shall trample out, root and branch!
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to die.
Why do you help us?
You mad? Don't shake that!
Aye.
Let the ghouls eat him, I say.
Silence! The Queen has made her decision.
Ah, should have listened to me, old lady.
Ever have a stone knock out one of your teeth? I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
The unworthy shall be punished.
It worked, Your Grace. The monsters flee.
The Lyrians and the Nilfgaardians fought the monsters side by side, a united force. But when the last necrophage fell, The soldiers immediately returned to their respective divisions. Meave's soldiers looked at the invaders askance, uncertain what would happen next. Suddenly, one of the Nilfgaardians broke ranks and fell to his knees.
Your Grace, I know you have no reason to trust us, but we are not enemies. We hail from Geso, a land Nilfgaard conquered and made its province. We did not ask to fight in this war by force. We were conscripted.
The soldier hefted his sword by the blade and handed it, hilt first, to the Queen.
We yearned for a way to desert, and we have found it. Your Grace, allow us to join your army. We long for the Empire's defeat every bit as much as you do.
Meave helped the kneeling soldier to his feet.
The enemy of Nilfgaard is my friend, no matter who he is or whence he hail.
The Lyrians were clearly displeased with their queen's decision. The black-clad deserters from Geso would need to earn their trust.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow, and a time to...
Your tricks will not save you, dwarf.
Aye.
I've hit the white of an eye from half a league away.
Slaughter them to a man!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
None shall tread on us!
No time for that!
Now we will see who is weak!
Awaits us all.
A knight should help. Our codex commands it.
Duan vacamest.
Enough chit-chat. Draw your weapon.
I was hoping you'd say that.
I fear not, for faith guides me.
This could hurt.
There's a time to reap, a time to sow. We'll see who is weak. Aye. Peace with humans? Abide thus! I shall not fail!
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Get our asses moving.
You'll regret your mum ever squirted you out.
Feed you to the crows!
Death to Old One!
This could hurt.
Nay, Duamve came nest.
Watch your heads!
I was hoping you'd say that.
I'll fight to my last breath.
Onward, Fryhead!
Should have listened to me, old lady.
Now we will see who is weak. Hey? I shall not fail! Ever have a storm knock out one of your teeth?
Oi! Hey there! Come here!
If the ring won't come off, just take the whole finger.
Feed you to the crows!
The knight should help. Our codex commands it.
Wow.
Give me a time. Our ballista, your command.
Oh, Lady Margarita told us of this.
Armor won't serve. One bolt I need. Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. One bolt I need.
Oh, Lady Margarita told us of this.
Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. Armor won't serve. One bolt's all I need. One bolt's all I need.
Oh, Lady Margarita told us of this.
Give me a target. Our ballista, your command. Armor won't serve. One bolt's all I need. One bolt.
Doubt I'll ever pay off these school loans.
Give me a target. Our ballista, your command.